Good evening, everyone. This is the 8th of October, 2025, and we're going to start our midweek weather briefing. I apologize in advance. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm going to try to do this without coughing as much as I've been lately. Anyway, so we're going to start off talking about the upcoming nor'easter that will be affecting Flagler County in the days ahead. So right now, we are continue to see minor coastal flooding in the intercoastal and inland waterways, and this is mostly due to the king tides associated with the moon. There is a high rip current risk that is in place for all beaches, and we are looking at a nor'easter setting in here of long duration starting on Thursday, with unsettled weather persisting into the weekend. The main concerns for this will be the potential for moderate coastal flooding. A coastal flood watch is already in place for the Atlantic coast and St. Johns River for tidal flooding. Gale warnings are expected to be raised for the Atlantic coastal waters Saturday afternoon through Saturday night. High surf advisories for coastal locations Thursday through Friday. There could be some isolated heavy downpours and thunderstorms associated with this Thursday and Friday. And beach erosion is going to be possible at area beaches through the weekend. So first, let's talk about the coastal flood advisory. This is for the ongoing coastal flooding, mostly due to the king tides. It's ongoing right now here in Flagler County. We'll take a look at flood gauges here in just a moment. But we got a coastal flood advisory in place right now. Dangerous marine and coastal conditions are going to continue and persist and worsen through the weekend, with a high risk of rip currents and rough surf at all beaches through the weekend. Gale warnings begin Thursday for coastal waters and the local Atlantic coast from Brunswick to Flagler Beach, including all area waters. Now, moderate tidal flooding is likely Thursday through the weekend, and we're expecting tidal heights of 2 to 3.5 feet above the normally highest high tide. And that is more water than there was with the last nor'easter we just had not too long ago. So this one is going to pack a little bit more punch, according to the National Weather Service. Significant flooding of low-lying areas, including docks, boat ramps, and coastal roads. Some of those areas that typically flood, and we're going to take a look at those in a minute. South 23rd Street, Flagler Avenue, and Flagler Beach. Areas of South Flagler Avenue and Flagler Beach. Intercoastal Drive in Beverly Beach. Those areas are very likely going to see tidal flooding come tomorrow, and more so Friday into Saturday. A wind advisory will also come into effect Thursday afternoon through Saturday night. Sustained winds of 15 to 25 miles an hour. Peak gusts around 40 to 45. Might actually see a few gusts higher than that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The strongest winds will be at the beaches. Further inland you go, the less wind there will be, but it'll still be properly breezy through the entire county. And if you're on a lake or if you're in the agricultural areas where there's not a lot of trees, winds will be stronger there than areas that are full of forest. Now looking at the tropics, we have Tropical Storm Jerry way out here. That is not going to be a role player in our weather. We have a little area of disturbed weather in the southwest Gulf, also not a problem for us. So let's talk about the potential for flooding and where we are with the tidal flooding right now. So let's get to the gauges, and as soon as the Weather Service gets me there. And actually, we're not too terribly bad shape. The main one we watch is Bing's Landing, and we are below minor flood stage for right now. But so that's a little bit good news. It's allowing things to drain off. But when this nor'easter sets in with the ongoing king tide, we can expect these numbers to start to come back up. And looking out here, out in the west side of the county, Haw Creek, we are in the minor flood stage out there. Crescent Lake out at Shell Bluff, looks like it's stabilized out there in minor flood stage. Okay, it's coming down. And bouncing over to Bulow Creek on the Intercoastal Waterway, you're also on its way down. But again, expect all of these gauges to start going back up when we get into tomorrow, more so on the Friday. So, we are going to have some issues with tidal flooding once again associated with this upcoming nor'easter. So, let's go ahead and get back to how deep is the water going to get, because that's always the million-dollar question. So, we're looking at Flagler Beach. This is the Sea Level Rise Viewer. This is a good resource. So at the maximum tide that is being forecast by the National Weather Service, that brings us up to right about here. So South 23rd Street, all down through here, maybe even some parts of South Daytona Street and the southeast part of Flagler Beach are going to see some effects from this tidal water. Now remember, this viewer's just a guide. The exact results on how high this water gets is going to be determined by quite a few different factors, including the wind, how much rain we get, and all that stuff. But this is the highest advertised tide right now is 3.5 feet above the normal highest tide, and this is what the impacts would possibly be. Going further up, other bits of Flagler Avenue. Just because you see water here doesn't mean it's very deep, but other parts of Flagler Avenue and along, anywhere south of 100 could possibly see water up on Flagler Avenue. Going in the north end, maybe some water up on the southern north end of Flagler Avenue. Again, mostly just in the street, not getting in any of the houses. And going further up, you can see water on Intercoastal Drive getting into Beverly Beach and Surfside Estates. Again, that is if this highest tide, 3.5 feet, and we can go back and look at that right here, 2.5 to 3.5 feet above normally dry ground is going to be possible with this nor'easter. So again, if you live in any of these areas, you're in the usual low-lying areas that see tidal flooding. This is the time to consider what precautions you may want to take. So anyhow, again, that is the worst of it. We could also maybe only see 2-foot tides, and that is, of course, a significantly less effect. So again, the maximum could be 3.5 feet, but we could see anywhere between 2 to 3.5 feet. So if it's more like 2 feet, then those effects will still be there, but not as widespread. So I showed you the worst possible scenario because that is definitely one of the things that could happen, but it could be anywhere between 2 to 3.5 feet. Again, this is 2 feet. This is 3.5 feet. So again, just to show the differences there. And if I bring us up into the center of town, so this is Beverly Beach here. So this is 2 feet. But if we get up to 3.5 feet, you can see that we have some Intercoastal Drive goes underwater and possibly water under some of the mobile homes up in Beverly Beach. Getting into the center part of town here. Oops, I just went past it. So center part of Flagler Beach, this is 2 feet. If I bring it up to 3.5, you can see those effects are significantly more. So that is something that will need to be watched carefully. Hopefully we'll only see the 2 feet. Hopefully we won't get higher than that, but because the Weather Service is forecasting that potential, you need to be ready for that. So let's talk about the winds. So tomorrow the winds start to kick up with peak gusts of 38 miles an hour. That's getting towards gale force. And even up to 44 miles per hour up at Marineland. 38 in Beverly Beach, 38 in Flagler Beach. Inland locations mostly in the 20s. But if you're anywhere I-95 or east, you can expect gusts above 30 miles an hour. That's why that wind advisory is in place. Keep in mind that this can change. So Friday, we're looking at peak gusts 47 miles an hour in Beverly Beach, 44 in Flagler Beach, 45 at Marineland. These are gusts. This is not sustained wind. So if we go to Saturday, we're looking at peak gusts approaching 50 miles an hour in some locations along the East Coast here. So again, if you live along the East Coast, if you have any very lightweight items, we're not talking about tropical storm or hurricane conditions by any stretch. But if you have any really lightweight items, you might want to get those secured by tomorrow because these winds are going to start kicking up tomorrow. And we're going to talk about why that is in just a moment. But this is what we're looking at with the winds. Now, getting into Sunday, we start to see those winds come down, but still quite breezy to gusty at the beaches there. And then Monday, the winds come down quite a bit. So it looks like into the weekend is where those strongest winds are going to be. Taking a look at rainfall numbers real quick. And rainfall chances, let's start with that. For tonight, very minimal chance, 20%. but rain chances go up to 50% tomorrow, and then 70% by Friday, and then Friday night about 60%. Rain chances begin to decrease into the weekend, but those winds will stay with us. Looking at temperatures real quick. And again, we're not looking at large-scale rainfall amounts, maybe 2 inches, 3, but could be some locally heavier rainfall amounts. Looking at temperatures, 80s for highs, lows in the 70s. That's pretty much consistent. Let's go back to rainfall again real quick because I forgot to count the amounts. 7-day rainfall amounts, 4 to 6 inches in some of these locations. That's 7 days. So looking at in 2 days, brings us into Friday, maybe 3 to 4 inches along the beach side. So these rainfall numbers have come up since the last time I've looked at them. So through Saturday, looking at 4 to 6. Through Sunday, maybe 4 to 6 inches, especially right here in Flagler Beach. That on top of those higher tides, you could have some problems, again, in those really low-lying areas. So if you're in a place that typically floods during nor'easters, it's likely it's going to flood with this. So why is all this happening? So we do have this front that's coming in from the north, and that front gets on top of us by tomorrow, and then low pressure takes shape over here off the east coast. The low pressure here, high pressure to the north, the combination of those two things, that low pressure right off the coast, is going to crank the winds up along the east coast here. So that's what's going to bring us those unsettled conditions and those nor'easter conditions that we are expecting. So taking a look quick at the long-range outlook, we're looking at above normal temperatures, 16 October to the 22nd of October. Precipitation outlook looks like maybe below normal. So and then that takes us in the middle part of October. So temperatures will still stay warm, but precipitation chances below normal. Quick look at the tropics. The only game in town is Jerry, and Jerry looks to stay quite a distance from us as it becomes a hurricane and moves out into the open Atlantic Ocean. So that's not a problem with us. So looking at satellite imagery, you can see the front coming in here, and once it gets south of us, those stronger northeast winds will start to kick in on the coast at some point Thursday afternoon. So that's going to wrap things up. Again, this is the time, if you live in those areas that could possibly see that tidal flooding, take precautions. If you live on the beaches and you got trash cans outside, Halloween lawn decorations, this is the time to get those secured. So we're going to wrap it up now. We'll be doing updates as we can in the days ahead. Remember that this is a forecast. Those forecasts can change. So do stay informed, and it can change for worse conditions or less worse conditions. So again, if you're in one of those areas that floods, be ready for that. And if you're right on the immediate beaches there, get things secured because it could be gusting up towards 45 to 50 miles an hour by Saturday. Everybody have a great evening, and we'll be posting updates as this unfolds.